Mr. Secretary, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. We've changed the proceedings for the evening slightly, and we're going to have the speeches before the meal, because we really want our guests of honour to be able to enjoy the evening, and Mr. Bailiff to enjoy as much of the show as possible, so I hope you don't mind. But I would just like to say to all of you here tonight, thank you for coming to share the dream that Martin started, and we're seeing the ending of here tonight. Have a great evening. Thank you so much for your support. And I'll now ask you to please listen to Mr. Brazão de Castro, our Secretary of State, who will be now say a few words. Thank you.
Mr. Geoffrey Rowland, Bailiff of Guernsey, and his wife, Mrs. Isabel Menezes, President of the Events Committee, Mr. Carlos Freitas, Councillor of the Madeiran Communities in the United Kingdom and Channel Islands, Mr. Carlos Gomes, Deputy Councillor for Guernsey and wife, Mr. Revelino Rodrigues, President of the Guernsey Portuguese Association, and Mrs. Vieira. Honoured guests, ladies and gentlemen, on ice is to be back in this beautiful island of Guernsey. Allow me to say how very pleased we are to welcome Mr. Geoffrey Rowland, Bailiff of Guernsey, and his dear wife in our Taste of Portugal, whom we met for the first time in Madeira a couple of weeks ago. Please join me in a round of applause to His Excellency the Bailiff. May I congratulate Isabel, her team, the Portuguese Association, Carlos Gomes, and everyone involved in putting together this great event, which will contribute, I'm sure, to the ever-strengthening links between Portugal and Guernsey. Please join me again in a round of applause to them. Portuguese people, mainly from Madeira, first arrived in this bailiwick from 45 years ago, and they have ever since, first in the hotel industry, then in horticulture and floriculture, and later in diverse occupations such as finance, earning the respect of people of Guernsey, both employers and authorities. They have played their part in the development of Guernsey and also been a part of the recent history of this island. Our community works hard and put joy in their work. Today, thanks for these efforts to our countrymen over recent decades, we're talking with the highest dignitaries of Guernsey and their behalf in order to forge other links of mutual interest between our two regions. Though we do not have a formal twinning agreement, the government of Madeira would like, with the blessing of our President, to propose to work together in areas of mutual interest and to root the good relationship which already exists between our people. Senhoras e senhores, os madeirenses são cerca de 250 mil que vivem na Madeira, mas nós somos cerca de 1 milhão no mundo, como com certeza saberão. Estamos dispersos por todo o mundo, pelo Reino Unido, pela Austrália, pelos Estados Unidos, pela Venezuela, pela África do Sul. Um pouco como tantos outros portugueses de tantas outras partes do país, que também saíram de Portugal e, em conjunto, nós madeirenses e os outros portugueses também, construíram a nossa diáspora, a diáspora portuguesa. O que é que estas comunidades dispersas pelo mundo esperam? Esperam que da parte dos governos haja uma política para as comunidades, uma política que permita a aproximação, que aposte muito no diálogo entre os governos e as autoridades dos vários locais onde estão as nossas comunidades, porque esse relacionamento é favorável para que as comunidades se integrem e permitam-me que diga isto, que vivam o local e a comunidade onde estão, ou seja, que participem com o vosso trabalho, que participem na vida social, na vida económica e também, com certeza, de acordo com as leis de cada país e de cada região, na vida política do local que escolheram para viver. I should now like, and it gives me great pleasure, on behalf of the Government of Madeira, to propose a toast to the Government of this island, of Guernsey, wishing you all success in the future.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please now welcome our Bailiff of Guernsey, Mr. Geoffrey Rowland.
Dr. Castro and other distinguished guests who've travelled to this island, Isabel and your organising committee, ladies and gentlemen, may I first of all say how delighted Diana and I are to be with you this evening to celebrate the joy of the Portuguese culture. To us, it's a very, very special evening indeed. And I know, and it's been said already by Isabel, that a tremendous amount of work has gone into preparing for this very, very special evening. And I know that I speak for all of the guests here this evening in congratulating them for their efforts. And we're looking forward immensely to what is coming this evening. And how delighted I am to see well over 100 of our Portuguese community assembled here in one room to enjoy themselves, because that is quite clearly what's going to happen this evening. Real enjoyment. I had no hesitation in accepting the invitation to come here. Diana and I have a great love of Portugal and Portuguese culture. We first went to Madeira as long ago as 1973, and that was the first holiday a year after our honeymoon, and we enjoyed that immensely. And once we had children, we spent 2 very enjoyable vacations in the Algarve, and as you've heard from Dr. Castro, we were delighted to be back in the charming island of Madeira only a few weeks ago. It is very, very special as an island. Many Guernsey folk visit Portugal, whether it be the mainland or whether it be the island of Madeira, or indeed the Azores. And why do they do that? They do that because there are such splendid cities, such splendid villages, super clear sea, super beaches in most places, but above all, I think they enjoy the warmth of the welcome that they receive when they are anywhere in Portugal. It is a very, very special country. We enjoy not only the scenery, we enjoy the food, and we enjoy the wine. And we also, some of us, enjoy the fado singing. When I was with some of your organising committee a few moments ago in a different room, I was mentioning that when I was in Portugal in the 1980s, the great singer then was Amália Rodrigues, and forgive my pronunciation, who was the leading exponent for, I guess, 50 years of fado singing, well known throughout the world. And that's one thing that I especially remember about Portugal, and I'm sure so do many of the Guernsey folk who visit Portugal. We also remember that, of course, Portugal is one of the oldest sovereign states in Europe, going back to, I think it's 1139, and I don't know whether there are any Spanish in the room, but I don't mind saying, in a group which is predominantly Portuguese, that it took Spain 350 years after Portugal to actually become a sovereign state, and we all regard, certainly all of us in Britain, we regard Portugal as being the leading community on the Iberian Peninsula. And I know you are all very, very proud of that distinction. Portugal is the elder statesman in my book when we look to those two countries. And when I was at school, we actually were so impressed by the great mariners that there were in the 1500s. I don't know whether kids today at school learn, as I did, about Vasco da Gama, about Magellan, although I think he was paid by the Spanish to go around the world, about the fact that Christopher Columbus, although he may not have been Portuguese, it's known that he was taught his seamanship by the Portuguese, and he left from Porto Santo on that famous voyage to discover America. Very special. And Dr. Castro, of course, was speaking, as quite properly he should, in the Portuguese language a few moments ago, and I was delighted, in fact, that the lady who interprets Portuguese in court, Isabel, was sitting next to me to actually interpret. One day, when I've retired from being bailiff, I'm determined to learn Portuguese.